someone says Karl Marx, what comes into your mind?
Hey guys, I'm Mahira and today I'm gonna tell you how Karl Marx shaped the world. Now what happened was that Karl Marx proposed a theory which later became very famous. But why did he propose the theory in the first place? Well, at the time when Karl Marx was born, actually what had happened was that there was a lot of exploitation of workers. So that's why Karl Marx wanted the emancipation of the workers, and that's why he proposed this theory. At that time, workers used to work overtime with minimum wages, and the capitalists, for whom the workers were working, wanted the workers to have only that much amount as wages, because if they had enough money to sustain more than one day, then they might not come to work tomorrow. So that's why the capitalists gave them only that much amount of money so that they can sustain for that day. So now what happened was that Karl Marx did not like this. He felt that this was exploitation of workers and he wanted the emancipation of these workers. So that's why he proposed this theory. And let me explain this theory with an example. Now what happens is that let's say that there's company Z, which is owned by capitalist Y. Now capitalist has many workers, and one of the workers, let's say, produces shoes. So that worker who produces shoes is known as worker X. Now worker X produces a pair of shoes in 3 hours at the cost of $10 per hour. So according to Marx, he must get $30 as his wages because that much time and money he has invested in it. Soon this theory became very popular and is even known today, for this equals the fairness and justice to the workers. In the start of this video, I had asked that if someone says the name of Karl Marx, what comes into your mind? Now you will say, of course, communism. Wasn't Marx the founder of the ideology of communism? Well, of course he was, but there were people before him. But when communism is said, and everyone says Marx was the creator. So you can see how popular Marx is in the field of communism. That also because he explained in such a good manner. Because according to Marx, there should be a combination of action and theory. Actually, according to Marx, if there's any such leader, let's say Adolf Hitler. So Adolf Hitler, what he said, work with me and Germany will be powerful. So then what happened was that, of course it went powerful, but when Adolf Hitler went, then his ideology also went. So according to Marx, any action without a deep explanation or a theory is going to be waste. And any theory with no action is also going to be waste. Because if a theory is proposed and there is no action only done on it, then what is the use of a theory without action? So that's why Marx's theory was able to live for so long, because it is a combination of action and theory. So now that we've talked about that part, let's talk about what Marx thought about his ideology. Now, of course, there were many people before Marx, but as I told you, his theory was a combination of action and theory, while the others, they didn't do much, except for doing only action or only theory. And according to Marx, he wanted to say to all the philosophers that philosophers, what you have done is interpreted the world, and what is your main job is to tell how to change it. So that's why according to him, what philosophers are doing is that nothing, they're just interpreting the world, how does it work. But according to him, what matters is how to change the world. So now let's talk about his stages. According to him, that everything would happen as a spontaneous revolution. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Why and how? Let's learn. So at that time, what was running? Capitalism. Now what happens is that in capitalism, the capitalists exploited the workers and exploited the workers. So according to Marx, there would be a point in time where the gap between the capitalists and the workers would go so extreme and the exploitation would become so violent that all the workers would spontaneously turn into a violent revolution. And then what would be born, according to Marx, was socialism. Now what would happen in socialism was that there will be abolition of private property. But there will be one more thing. There will be certain power to a state who will, like, the state will be more ruled by the workers. So he said, first of all, there will be socialism. Then what will come? Then communism will come, where there is no state also, and where there is no private property as well. So abolition of private property would happen, and then common property with no state, where each person has their own rights, will happen. So according to Marx, these were the stages of the spontaneous revolution, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Why? Because the capitalists, they were very intelligent and smart. There were no such tiny people who didn't care for the workers and were just earning money, going to islands and resting here and there. So actually, what they did was that they knew that soon a spontaneous revolution would happen. So hence they stopped at the limit, and from then onwards tried to decrease the limit, because they knew that if soon the workers will get irritated by this much limits also. So then came the nowadays. So hence what Marx predicted didn't happen, just because the capitalists changed their ways and mended their ways. And that also not just because they realized that they were wrong and new things would happen. So it was just because they were afraid that the spontaneous revolution would happen. That's why they stopped exploiting the workers. Now what happened was that Karl Marx's theory failed because of this. But now Karl Marx, he didn't like the earlier philosophers who talked about communism and socialism. Why? Well, actually they said that soon after some years, or after a lot of exploitation of the workers, finally the capitalists will realize that they have done wrong and they will have mercy on the workers. Hence, socialism and communism will be born. But Marx said, no, this is not going to happen. Exploitation of workers will continuously happen until a violent revolution will not be born. So according to him, for the rebirth of the nation, for making it a better place for the workers, some violence would always happen. Because according to him, violence is a midwife of birth. Because according to him, he says that violence is like a nurse to a mother. When the mother has a child, well, the nurse helps her. So violence is helping the nation to get reborn. So this is how Marx proposed the theory that there will be socialism after capitalism, and after socialism there will be communism. So that's why all communists are socialists actually, but all socialists are not communists. Can you understand why? Of course, because to come in the stage of communism, you have to go past socialism. That's why all communists are socialists, but all socialists are not communists. So this is how Karl Marx proposed his theory of the violent revolution and why it did not work. Now you must have heard that Karl Marx wrote a huge book named Das Kapital, and it was published a long time ago. So now let me tell you that Karl Marx did not publish it. It was his friends, angels, who had published it and compiled those books. Because what was Marx? He just learned and he made his own ideas and wrote them down. But what was the compilation done by? The compilation of Das Kapital was done by angels, who was Marx's kind of friend. So nowadays, Das Kapital has influenced so many thinkers and so many people across the world, and has changed so many things. into how Marx would have wanted it to be. Now, the thing was that Marx was inspired by a lot of people, and one of the main influencers of Marx, guess it was who? It was Hegel, the official philosopher of one's place. So, what happened was that Marx was inspired by Hegel, but also he criticized Hegel a lot. But how and why? Let's learn. Well, actually, according to Hegel, life moves in such a stage that we always come into a better stage. Because, of course, when we used to use candles or the kerosene lamps, then Edison thought that they would die down soon, so he created the light bulb, which could continuously be on. So, every invention or every stage of human life, according to Hegel, would move into a better stage for the betterment of our living. So Marx appreciated this thought of Hegel very much. But the problem was, Marx was a materialist, but Hegel was an idealist. And you'll say, what are those terms? Well, actually, Hegel is an idealist, which means that he thought that ideas will come. So then ideas will make better ideas, and so hence the better stages of life will continue by ideas. So according to Marx, this was nothing, that ideas are not true. What actually matters is matter, what we can feel and what we can see. So according to Marx, what would have changed was the matter, not the ideas. Matter caused ideas according to Marx. So this was the difference between Hegel and Marx. Now Marx said that the difference is only through matter. Now you can tell if a person is rich or poor by seeing his matter. How much gold he earns, his bank account, it's written, it's matter. So according to Marx, matter shows a person truly. And matter changes everything, not any idea. He also proposed that if there would be, let's say, a thesis, like there was exploitation of workers, there will be an antithesis, which means the workers' emancipation. And then there will be synthesis, where it will be slowly finalized into the thesis. So according to him, what was the thesis? First, of course, there was exploitation of workers. Then antithesis came, which was the violent revolution. And then synthesis came, which was the socialism. And then the thesis came, which was communism. According to him, he proposed this theory. And then if that thesis was also not comfortable with the people, then again antithesis, then again and again and again. The cycle repeats as we people get better and better in our qualities. So this was the inspiration of Marx, how he got inspired by Hegel, but also Hegel was his greatest enemy. You could see why. Because Marx was a materialist, but Hegel was an idealist. Now, many of you might have heard that communism happened in China, communism happened in Russia. So actually, those weren't influenced by Marx. They were influenced by Marxists. Now, what happens is that there's a school of thought on Marx called Marxist. Now, you can see that how Marx is so special that there is one ideology named after him. Communism is also called Marxism. Any ideology be named on any such idealist. So let's see. Now Lenin was a Marxist who started the Russian revolution of communism. But it wasn't how Marx wanted it at all. According to Lenin, said time is passing by, but that spontaneous revolution is not happening. So according to him, Marx had made a mistake. So spontaneous revolution would not happen, but the revolution would have been asked to happen. So what happened was that Lenin joined hands with the workers and created a small party which encouraged communism, and after a fierce revolution did it come into play. So this is how there was communism influenced in China and Russia. But it was not like Karl Marx had wanted it to be. Why? Because the entire power still pointed to the party. So technically, you can say that it was not so communism but it was socialism, where there was abolition of private property, but there was still a strong power. The state, it was not even a state, it was a party, Lenin's party. Or in China, there was Mao's party. So Mr. Lenin or Mr. Mao, which one you prefer? So these people influenced the communism in these different countries. It was not any of Marxist creations or Marxist thoughts. It was just these parties. So that's it for today. This is a lot of information, but it was worth the while. Thanks. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Mini Money Mastermind with Mahira. I hope you found the information helpful in your journey to financial success. Don't forget to hit the like button and share my videos with your friends and your family so that they also can benefit from my content. I appreciate your support and can't wait to continue bringing you more informative and actionable finance-related content. Until next time, happy money management. And do you know what is the quote of the day? Well, today's quote was said by Bill Gates. He had said that patience is key element of success. Thanks and goodbye.